So Xbox has listened when it comes to the user interface, to the dashboard, and they are going to be releasing a brand new home experience that insiders already have access to and have been showing off. And honestly, it looks just way better than what is currently there. Way sleeker. As you can see, a quick screenshot here as to what is going to be coming out very soon to everybody. And you can take a quick look. I mean, they have the new bar at the top there where you can quickly scroll across from like the store to Game Pass to search to your own games. You have your games here as the first line of tiles. And when you're scrolling across the tiles, it actually has dynamic background. So it will change depending on the game that you have highlighted, which I think is something that a lot of people were looking for and wanting, because previously you just had one background. You would go through everything and it would never change. But this is such a more immersive experience as you're going through, and it's showing you something from the game that you have been highlighting. But here they put out this article here on Xbox Wire highlighting all of the new stuff that is going to be available on the new home. It says, one, it will provide easy navigation to your library, the Microsoft Store, Xbox Game Pass, search and settings at the very top of your home by introducing a new quick access menu. Two, it will simplify the layout and make more space for you to see your background by reducing the size of some of the tiles and moving them to the bottom of the screen. As we can see, that's exactly what they did here. I mean, personally, I would have loved if they just got rid of that second layer of tiles on the first part of the home screen and just had your games as a small boxes at the bottom as you go across the background changes. But I'm guessing they have to keep that in there for advertising purposes. I mean, you look here, it says play Hi-Fi Rush, find your elites, all that type of stuff. This is for advertising purposes, to be on the homepage, the first thing that people see. They're able to sell that space to games. It's all for money-making purposes, that second line there. It would have been great if they would have gotten rid of that, but obviously it's just not something that they would be willing to do, losing that prime real estate to sell as advertising. It says number three here, adds a responsive game art feature to update the default background and show off the beautiful art associated with each title when you hover over the tile. So really, really cool. That is probably the coolest thing for me that they did there, because I've been waiting for that dynamic background to be coming in. They had cool backgrounds that they did add with updates, but I love how it's going to be changing with every single game. They also say they've updated the tile that opens My Games and Apps to let you know when there's something new or needs your attention. It says, as the experience is not final, you may see updates either from your library or the Microsoft Store. For example, if there are items from your wish list on sale, you may get an update that shows up on your home in that tile. So there you have just another additional feature. Again, this is for the insiders right now, and it will be making its way out to everybody, but happy to see they've listened to the community in terms of reducing the amount of stuff right on that first home screen, giving us a more clear background, and it just looks sleeker. I actually really like the design that they did here. I like the UI features and selections that they did, especially even with that top little bar with the Game Pass and the store and everything. It looks nice. It looks sleek. So I'm excited for this to eventually be on my Xbox. And then we'll jump over here. There has been a new patent that has come out, and that is potentially, they're saying, a VR device, but to me, it looks like an AR device, and it could be something coming here from Xbox. It says Microsoft has filed a new patent that could be related to a potential future VR headset. While the company has been embroiled in the ongoing Activision Blizzard acquisition that we saw the Microsoft president criticize the CMA for blocking the deal, there seems to be plenty of other things going on behind the scenes, even though the Activision Blizzard deal appears to be taking up a lot of time and effort. It says, as of writing, PlayStation is the only home console that boasts VR compatibility through the PSVR 2. Even Nintendo has dabbled with VR, albeit on a much smaller scale, with one of its Labo kits that included a buildable enclosure for the Switch that was held to the player's face. So here is the actual patent itself. And if you ask me, this really looks like a HoloLens style of AR technology. It just looks like glasses that you're going to be seeing things projected in front of you on. But it says here the new patent from Microsoft has enhanced eye tracking system that could potentially be used as a part of a future VR headset. Now, eye tracking is available on the PSVR 2. I have PSVR 2, and I have to say, it is a feature I think that sets it apart from other headsets that don't have eye tracking. It is really cool. It does work very well how they've done that, and I think it will help games just overall be more immersive as they come out, because where you're looking, it really is clear compared to the other parts of the actual scene in front of you, which probably allows it to have less processing power, all that type of stuff, in order to get these graphics better for the headset itself. It does a really good job because you don't really care well, it's not actually in your eyesight. Which you're not directly staring at when you're playing in VR. So if it's blurry, it's fine. But the eye tracking really does a good job. It says here, the patent describes a system that is self-calibrating and also accommodating of deformations or other changes to the device. While this patent might not look much like a VR headset, a solid eye tracking system that can self-calibrate and compensate for deformations could form part of an intuitive and user-friendly VR system. The patent could simply be an improvement to Microsoft's HoloLens, which is an augmented reality technology. And that's kind of where I'm leading with this type of thing. I don't think this is going to be for VR. I think this is going to be an update to HoloLens, to their AR. I feel like Microsoft and Xbox want nothing to do with VR on the console itself, or having a specific Xbox VR headset. I don't think it makes too much sense for them at this point, especially with, PSVR 2, it is selling. It's probably not selling as good as they wanted to. I don't know how big of a VR market there is for the console space. And PSVR is the company or the product out there that will be setting that baseline for VR in the console space, because they have such a huge install base. And if they don't sell as many as they like, I don't see why a console with a lower install base would want to try to get into that market. I think the best thing going forward for VR would be just opening it up somehow to PC VR headsets, where you can just plug it into your Xbox Series X and then get access to VR games that are available on PC. All the headsets out there that people currently have, if they can open those up, make them usable on console, I think that would be just a great solution. And I'm sure Microsoft is able to work with these companies to be able to do that. I don't foresee them actually making their own VR headset, but hey, this is a new patent with eye tracking. We're not 100% sure what it is for. And like I said, eye tracking is a great feature in the PSVR 2 headset. But jumping over here to PlayStation and live service games. As we know, PlayStation needs to expand out their library of games. They can't continuously just be making the same style of games with the same IPs that they have been putting out. Yes, they sell extremely well, but they need to be able to expand with the live service stuff, because there's far more money in that. And of course, they see that as well from a business perspective. If they have planned multiple live service games to be coming out by 2026. In fact, they say that they plan to have 12 live service titles in the market by the fiscal year ending March 2026. And we can see them getting ready. They purchased Bungie, which will be massive for live service. Destiny already is probably bringing in a ton of money for them. And then they just went out, I think it was last week or maybe the week before, and purchased Firewalk Studios, who is currently working on a PlayStation title, a live service title, and they've brought them in as a first-party studio. And Herman Hulst talked to gamesindustry.biz, talked about their live service games that are going to be coming, and they say will target diverse genres and scale. He says here, we understand the competitive environment that is out there and the time investments from players that live services offer, and we want to deliver the highest quality of games. There is a risk that we talk about live service in generic terms, as it is a single genre or even a single business model. PlayStation Studios are making a variety of games that could be referred to as live services, targeting different genres, different release schedules, and at different scales. We are also creating games for different audiences, and I take confidence from our track record in creating worlds and stories that PlayStation fans love. So like he says, they're making many different live service games, probably not just first-person shooters or third-person shooters, probably a bunch of different styles that we've seen come out from other developers. They put out Destruction All-Stars, which didn't do very well. That was a multiplayer live service style of game, but obviously it failed, and that would you could consider to be in a very different genre compared to the general live service stuff that people think about. So we'll see what they come up with. We know they're working on factions for The Last of Us. They're supposed to be coming out with The Last of Us 2, but they came out and said the scope was just too big, and they made it its own standalone game, and we'll see how that works out, because factions, when it first came out with the first game, was pretty fun. And we'll see if they're able to expand on that, but that's going to be a multiplayer third-person game, of course, and depending on how they add in live service elements to it, they're going to want to monetize that. They're going to want to have people stuck in that world for a very long time. That's the goal of live service. He says it right here. It's getting people to put a ton of time into that singular game. So they're going to add variety to get people from all different genres playing their live service games. And then there's also, again, Firewalk Studios who have been working on a PlayStation game. And he says here, every studio relationship has its own trajectory. In some cases, we have worked with companies for many years as external partners before bringing them to SIE. In other instances, an acquisition has come around quickly. It depends on what the studio needs to grow and succeed and what makes sense for both sides. We have been working closely with Firewalk for a while now. We have both really enjoyed that process, and we have incredible confidence in what they are creating. So it just felt like a natural step. And this has been PlayStation's process over the last number of years, since they've been seeing Microsoft go out and acquire more and more studios, is generally, besides Bungie, I would say, they've been going out and acquiring these smaller studios, adding them in to expand out their first party offerings, and studios that they have been working with or have had games in development that, like Firewalk, haven't come out yet. We will see. Live services is not a guaranteed success for companies. Xbox themselves, I think, have been far more successful with multiplayer. They have way more multiplayer IPs. They have way more live service stuff that PlayStation sees this, and they know that they have to be able to match them in some way. So we'll see what they do. But in terms of Xbox, you think about Grounded, you think about Sea of Thieves, you think about Halo. I know people are going to say Halo Infinite isn't doing well, but Halo overall, ton of money and ton of time spent in multiplayer, whether that's Master Chief Collection or Halo Infinite. You think about all of the Elder Scrolls Online stuff through that acquisition of Bethesda. Fallout 76, which started off pretty bad, but I think right now is doing better. But it's just nonstop with the multiplayer and the online stuff for Xbox, which gets people spending just tons and tons of hours into their games. Whereas PlayStation, as we know it right now with their first party offerings, they are essentially one and done. They're essentially third person action adventure games. Most people play them once and then they move on. So they have to be able to improve on that front. But I will leave the video there, guys. Let me know what you think about the new Xbox dashboard. Do you think Xbox will ever get into VR? And what are your thoughts on PlayStation Studios 12 live service games by March 2026? If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.